Welcome to This Week with Old Sarge. Yeah, I got the flashlight on again on the camera. Awesome. I'll have to have son number 3 fix that one of these days. Well, this week we're talking about problems with senior troopers. So way back when, last century, back in the old 10-hour scheduled days, work 10 hours, off for the rest of the day. Yeah, way back in. We got us a new boss of the whole state police. Oh yeah, brand new superintendent or colonel, whatever you want to call him. So he does a little looking like any good boss should. Starts figuring out what's going on with all of his stations he's responsible for throughout the whole state. And then he starts looking at the personnel in each station. Quickly comes to the conclusion that these senior troopers, they don't seem to be generating a lot of activity. Seems like they're mostly sitting on their butt doing nothing all shift long and leaving junior guys like me out there taking care of all the business that's got to be taken care of. All the accidents, all the alarms going off, residential and commercial. Looping the interstate looking for people that are broke down out in the middle of nowhere because we were patrolling out in the middle of doggone nowhere. So there's a lot of stuff that's got to be done, and we got a pair of hands warming a doggone chair in the doggone station instead of helping out. So his new boss, he looks at that and he says, you know what? I'm going to send me a message to all these stations. So he writes her up and sends her out. Says, you're a senior trooper and you're looking to get promoted to sergeant, but you ain't turning in any activity, any shift. He said, you can forget about being promoted. I'll promote a doggone junior trooper over you that is out there doing something before I ever promote somebody that ain't doing something. Woo! You talk about lighting a fire underneath a bunch of senior troopers' butts, boy. Whoo! It'll let the fire all right. Those guys are getting out there and trying to do everything they can to get the doggone activities on their stat sheet. Oh yeah, they're working hard. So one night we're on a 2 to midnight shift, which was a doggone best shift for the 10-hour day. Love that shift. I'm out in my patrol area doing what I'm supposed to be doing, and hear my senior trooper calling out he's going to do a property check of this parking area down by the state and federal parks. Now this parking area is closed after dark. Doesn't open up again until sunrise, so no one's supposed to be in there. So we normally check these places to make sure everything's good to go, so what he's doing is quite normal. So he calls out he'd be doing a property check, and he pulls in there, and next thing you hear he says, got a pickup in here with multiple occupants, suspicious vehicle. I'll be waiting for backup. I'm like, well, I'm your backup, hoss. So I throw out the anchor and spin that troop car around and give her the spurs, and away we go westbound. Hammering out there, going to back him up 8-1. That ain't good odds. So I go thundering out there and pull up there, and he's just walking back from the pickup there. He's walking over the passenger side of my vehicle, so I hit the down button on the electric window and goes down, and he sticks his head in my troop car and rests his forearms up on the top of the door there, and he says, I think I got me 80 illegals here. Now this was back at the time when ICE would come and pick up folks that were here illegally if you had enough of them to justify the trip. So he's like, woo, you could see the wheels turning in his head. He's going to get himself 8 arrests. And I said, well, do any of them speak English? And he's like, no, but he's got the old light bulb above his head, you know. He's like, ha ha. Pulls this pamphlet out of his back pocket. And I recognize it. It's Spanish for law enforcement. Now, it's a little pamphlet we got a couple months ago, and I've looked at it at the time we got it. It's got a bunch of phrases in there for talking to folks that speak only Spanish. It's like, all right, so it's got a little, blah, 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 Gruja, for instance. Well, Grujah's tow truck. Do you need a tow truck? Person could answer, yes or no in Spanish, sí or no. So things like that, well, that's pretty easy to communicate with because it had, the English statement above the Spanish statement, so you knew what you were asking the person. If they could understand what in the hell you were trying to say, because back in, we didn't have a lot of Spanish-speaking troopers on the force, so he's like, well, I'm going to use this here pamphlet, and I'm going to speak Spanish to him. I said, oh. I said, well, you're going to use this pamphlet, and you're going to ask them questions, and they're going to respond to your question. Yeah. I said, you're going to ask it in Spanish. He's like, yeah. He's looking at me like I'm stupid. And I said, they're going to respond in Spanish. And his face starts dropping. I said, how in the hell are you going to know what in the hell they're saying back to you? And he's looking at me like he doesn't like me now. He didn't like me before. He sure don't like me now. He takes that pamphlet and jams it back in his pocket. He's like, well, I'm just going to cut him loose. All right. You cut him loose, buddy. We'll see you later. Actually, I'll stand by until he cuts him loose because he is outnumbered. Funny thing senior troopers do, try to get their doggone activities up. So shout out section this week. Shout out to all my B troopers out there. Holding fast and firm to that doggone oath you swore. Yeah, don't listen to them politicians too much. They out there violating their own doggone orders at this point in time, trying to make it look like it's somebody else's fault. So you keep with your oath, and you'll always be on the right side. So keep doing the JOB the way you were trained. Everything will work out fine. Military, we appreciate what you're doing out there. It's a hard life being overseas. Long time overseas doing a tour, worrying about the folks back home here that you care about. It's a hard way of life, but we appreciate what you're doing. Very necessary, and we appreciate it. So thank you. Thank you very much. So till next week, bye now.